Hi everyone, this is Kassie and these are the Tarot horoscopes for the week of September 20 to September 26. Today we are using the Line Strider Tarot, a rather minimalist deck with images that dance between magic and logic, animal and human, and the conscious and unconscious mind. It's a nice deck, simple to read. It follows the Rider-Waite tradition and symbolism. There's a lot of animal imagery. Its connection to nature is very evident, and I'm sure you will enjoy reading it. But let's see what the predictions of next week are. For Aries, we have the Empress. This will be a very full week with lots of activity, especially when it comes to relationships, feelings, love, and that's probably needed after the stress of the last week. You had the 10 of Wands then, much pressure and stress on you, but now it feels that things are falling into place again. And you will probably feel that you are done with a particular situation and you will be more attentive to your own needs that you may have neglected or put aside for a while, or you made another needs a priority. But now the time has come to look after yourself in a way that will allow you to experience more love, sexuality, and sensuality. The Empress suggests growth and abundance, and that's why if in the previous weeks you felt like you were making little progress or you felt stuck in a particular stage, and you must have felt that since the 10 of Wands was very intense energy, this week that will change and you will experience more abundance on many levels. In relationships, you will feel that your partner is more loving, for example, or you are more loving towards your partner. Or in a professional situation, you will feel that although you couldn't get things done before for one reason or another, now people are coming together in a very harmonious and productive way, and you will get very positive results. The Empress is the personification of nature, and everything that has to do with nature is favored this week. Like for instance, spending time out in the open, or with your pets, or tending your garden. Connecting with nature will help you ground yourself. Or you may decide to take a trip to the countryside, to spend your day in the park or at the beach. The Empress is associated with Venus, and Venus's day is Friday, so Friday may be particularly important to you. Observe what's happening that day, what kind of communications you have, and what kind of feedback others are giving you, because Friday may show you the trends of the week that follows. For Taurus, we have the King of Cups. The King of Cups is a love card and gives us the message that this week you will be dealing with personal relationships or concerns about a relationship. But the King of Cups as a king is male energy, so it probably represents a male in your life, probably a water sign, Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer, and that male will be a strong presence this week. Cups represents emotions, so we are probably looking at a romantic partner or a romantic interest or someone who's chasing you. And this guy seems to be very connected with his feelings. He knows what he wants in a relationship, he knows how to get it, but his emotions may not be very transparent to you. And that's because he knows how to control his feelings very well. The King of Cups is a passive card, so don't expect this person to take massive action to show you that he likes you. He will show you his interest, his love, through emotional expressions. If you had the King of Wands, he would take actions, but this one is more romantic. He understands emotions very well, so his responses and reactions will be expressed through feelings. For instance, a gesture or a smile. It's mostly subliminal communication, not verbal and not through actions. So don't feel disappointed if the person you're interested in isn't taking the action you expect him to take this week. Also, under this energy, you may feel very connected to someone energetically, telepathically. You will feel his presence very strongly, even if you're far away from each other, in a different city or different country. No matter, you will feel this strong connection. Last week you had the Queen of Wands, a very different energy, and things must have been busier then, but this week seems more passive. That's not a week of action. It's a week of getting in touch with your feelings and your intuition. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And try to dig deep and get in touch with those deeper messages and truths. Look for the dates between 13 October to 12 November, as it appears that a significant event or developments involving personal relationships will happen around that time. For Gemini, we have the Page of Swords. This week you will be rather short-tempered, and that means there will be some very intense energies around you, especially when it comes to communications, messages, and how you express your thoughts to others. Swords represent our intellect, our thoughts, speech, the way we talk, the way we think. You will probably discover something that you were not aware of before, and that will give a whole new perspective to a situation or relationship, and you may even find out that someone's stalking you on social media, spying on you to gather information. If you decide to confront them, you will probably get a rather aggressive response, and there will be judgments and criticism. In your relationships in general, there seems to be a great deal of suspicion at the moment, uncertainty or trust issues, and that can push you to investigate or interrogate another. Your thoughts are very powerful at the moment, and you can clearly say what you need to say. So if you've been hoping to have an open and honest talk with someone, this is the week to do so. You will be in your element anyway, because the Page of Swords is an air card and you are an air sign, so you are very familiar with this energy, and that means you will probably win every argument or dispute that you get yourself into. That doesn't mean that you should argue for the sake of it, although there seems to be such a tendency this week. So last week's inactivity and peace seems to be shifting in a very dynamic way. Be very careful when you share information with people. Talk only to those you truly trust, and stay away from those who prove to be unreliable in the past. This week, electronic communications are especially favored, so you can use this energy to your advantage to connect with new people on the internet. And I'm saying new because pages are fresh energy and they show the initial stages of a situation and potential for new beginnings. For Cancer, it's the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles is a very down-to-earth presence, a very down-to-earth and grounded energy. But you are a water sign, and this earth energy may not be very familiar to you. You may feel that you are not exactly on the same wavelength with someone, as they appear to be very practical, and you may feel that they don't allow themselves to enjoy life, to experience pleasure through their feelings, or to express themselves, and they are much more reserved than you are. You may find it a little frustrating to communicate or to connect with them, as they may also be too focused on practical matters, career, or the practical aspects in a relationship. For instance, they may be reluctant to give a relationship a chance because there are practical obstacles in the way, and they give priority to those practical matters. They do have strong feelings, but maybe their job or other responsibilities may not allow them to go ahead with something, and that might be a point of friction for you. Especially since this week you are ready to take action, to move forward, after last week's Nine of Pentacles that created a very solid foundation for this week's developments. And now you feel even more confident and grounded. But this person represented by this Queen, instead of following you, they seem to resist and try to set a different pace. This Queen is very good news if you are looking for a new job or improvement in your career. She foretells there will be progress, opportunities, and you will probably have an ally by your side, a female most likely, someone who holds an important position, and they are ready and willing to give you their support in professional and practical matters. The card for Leo is the Two of Pentacles. You are probably trying to juggle two or more different situations, and you think that you can maintain a balance. And yes, you can do that for now, but this is a situation, a stage that cannot be maintained for too long. Twos, like aces much more, are the very early stages of something. It's the moment when you have taken one or two steps, and they show that between you and your goal there are many stages that you cannot skip. You can't take shortcuts. So you are at this stage, you want something to happen. You can't have it at the moment, that's clear. You are trying to keep things at a midpoint, which isn't really sustainable for too long. Basically because this is not the final stage and things are moving, things are still unfolding, and with your actions you are trying to block this progress, unconsciously maybe, in an attempt to force it to the direction you want it to go. Although that might work for a while, in the long run it's not doable. Things will take their course anyway. Progress will happen, so it won't be long before you are forced to follow the flow one way or another. Otherwise, if you keep resisting, you will feel very frustrated and you will say, no, I will try to hold on to this stage, to keep things as they are, because they are convenient for me now. But you will find that's not easy at all. You will get what you want, you will find what you're looking for, or you will be able to bring about the change that you want between 22 and 30 December. And that's around 3 months from now. So try to remain centered, and you can tap into the energy of last week's card, which was the Four of Wands, a card of stability and focus on what you do have at the moment. Focus on your skills, your abilities, and the things that make you feel safe, secure, and the people around you that support you. Keeping in mind at the same time that the future is waves of potential, which is not yet fixed, and with your every thought that is transformed into action, you are creating the future moment after moment. For Virgo, we have the Five of Pentacles. Fives are usually disruptive energy because they introduce a new element that may catch us off guard, causing some confusion. So the balance of the King of Pentacles that you got last week is changing now. It feels like as if you or another is taking some steps back instead of forward. Fives are associated with the Hierophant, and what the message here is that no matter what will arise, no matter the situation, if you remain focused on your purpose, without being swayed by other people's desires, beliefs, or needs, you will get back on track very fast. You may experience some sort of lack or loss or blockage this week. You may decide to block someone, for instance, or another could block you from social media. But this could also be material issues that have to do with money, and you may be in conflict with a particular person about money. And that doesn't have to be something serious necessarily, but it's something that might cause some frustration. Maybe you're hoping for a certain outcome to manifest, but something's still missing and you can't have the desired results at the moment. Or you may need the help of someone in order to do something. The element of helping someone is very prominent in the Five of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles is called the Lord of Worry. And thus you do have the tendency to worry, Virgo. You may be worrying excessively for something that you shouldn't. There is no need to worry so much about a situation that you can't control. The more you will try to control it, the more it will resist you. And you will end up being controlled by it in the end. And that's not what you want. The trick here is to let this energy pass. This is a trend that will last from 3 to 5 days. And it's not that you will be stuck in the same situation for 5 days. Developments will be happening anyway. In relationships, you may be dealing with a relationship that's in some way unconventional, out of the ordinary, and that may be causing some tension to you. If that's the case, try to put things into perspective and try to figure out what it is that you want from this, what the other person wants, and if you can work together and find some common ground. For Libra, we have the Hanged Man. Thinking about the cards you had in the previous weeks, the Eight of Swords 2 weeks ago and the Ten of Swords last week, seeing this card now reminds me of the calm after the storm. You must have experienced a rough patch in the previous weeks, and now you are reaching a stage when energies settle down finally, when things get calm and still, and that's a much needed break for you to regroup and decide what your next steps will be. Now this card often suggests a break, so you might have a break or a pause in a relationship or in communication because there's a need to find a different perspective. The Hanged Man is hanging upside down, and that's why it also means that he's making a sacrifice. He's giving something to get something back. This is a very complex card and it can play out in many ways, and you may feel very introspective, feeling that you need to figure things out, and that's a good thing, especially after a difficult situation, after a challenging phase, because all those challenges and difficulties happen so that we can grow and become a better version of ourselves. You are now entering a new stage, and it's very crucial at this point to give things time. This is not a good time to force things, as if you do, what you want may not happen. If you are experiencing problems with a relationship, try to see things from another viewpoint. Try to literally reverse your thinking, because your partner or the person you're interested in is on a completely different wavelength. And in order to create something together, you need to find that common ground. Just make sure that such a reversal is not too much of a sacrifice for you. Or examine whether making a very radical change for another is what you really want or can do. Because if it's not, you will find yourself in a very frustrating situation. So this is a week to try and see things from many different angles and decide what you want to do. For Scorpio, we have the Four of Swords. Expect a decrease in energy this week, especially if things were intense, and as I recall, we had the Lovers for you last week, and the Lovers is a very intense energy, especially when it comes to relationships. Now this week you will feel the need to take a break, to withdraw a bit, and maybe to evaluate what happened in the previous days or weeks. The energy of the Four of Swords is that of surrendering, of letting go, and that's the best you can do in some cases, especially if you had some difficult problems to face and if people were not cooperating with you, they were not working together to find solutions. And it's okay to let life decide, because at times we make the mistake to stress too much over particular situations, trying to solve them, trying to direct them the way we want to, and it's not working. It's not working, and every day it's getting worse, and it's getting more frustrating, and then suddenly you decide to give up. That's the moment of the Four of Swords, and it's not uncommon that exactly that moment when you give up, you get what you want, magically. But that's not something you can force. That's not something you manipulate and say, okay, now I will surrender. It's not working that way. It's something that comes from within, spontaneously. So don't make it intentional. That's not how it works. But I expect there will be moments this week that you will feel like that. You will surrender. And let's see what kind of magic is waiting for you after that moment. The Four of Swords is a very good card when it comes to health matters, as it indicates that this is an excellent time to recuperate from an operation, to heal from old wounds, physical or emotional, and to restore health and balance. So all those things will be favored this week. For Sagittarius, the card is the Two of Wands. You will be feeling very indecisive over a matter, and there is a power struggle probably that you're dealing with in one of your personal or professional relationships. So you and another person, you are both standing your ground. There's no flexibility. You both want to get what you want, and what you want is different things. So someone has to surrender to the other, but that's not happening, not at this stage at least. The Two of Wands is called the Lord of Dominion, so it's clear that we are looking at a contrast here. It's about who wins, who gets his or her way. There will be those moments this week that you may feel a little passive-aggressive. And this card is also an action-reaction type of thing. So you make a move and the other person makes another move, like a game of chess. They react and you react to the reaction, and so on and so forth. And this can go on for a few days, but since we have just a two, I expect that this energy will be transformed soon. On the other hand, there is stubbornness and indecisiveness, and that's a difficult combination. It's as if you don't know exactly what you want, but at the same time you are not open to considering another person's point of view, and that applies to the other person as well. They are not able to see things from your viewpoint, and that creates a rather fiery situation. Wands are fire cards anyway. Another thing is that you may have to consider two different options, two different opportunities, but be careful, as only one of them seems to be aligned with your higher purpose. Last week you had the Three of Pentacles, and that three is a very different energy. It's about cooperating, coming together, while now with these two it feels as if you or another is taking a step back instead of forward. It's possible that events that happened around the end of March or beginning of April will start making more sense now, and you may even be able to get a lesson, a message, or insight from the energies around the time. For Capricorn, we have the Three of Cups. You will find great pleasure this week by connecting with people you love, friends, or a romantic partner, or a group of like-minded people. The Three of Cups is coming together, celebrating, having fun, so it could be a night out, a very pleasant experience you will remember for a long time. The Three of Cups is also the moment when a third element arises, something that you didn't know before or you didn't think about before, but once it shows up, it changes the dynamic of a relationship. It's the moment when you feel very good about yourself and you feel very supported by a group or a community, and you will find support this week, probably for more than one person. You will feel very comfortable, very safe with those people. And we had the Page of Cups last week that showed the early stages of something, a plan or a project or a relationship. And now this 3 foretells growth, shows that you're taking it to the next stages. Whatever it is that you started the previous weeks is now taking shape. Be a little careful when it comes to a new relationship though, because this 3 might show that the other person isn't sharing your relationship goals at the time. For instance, you may have a romantic relationship in mind, but they prefer to be friends or friends with benefits. You need to make your goals clear and communicate your needs to another before things start taking a direction that is convenient for them, but you are not interested in taking. However, prepare for deeply emotional communications that will make you feel really connected, really in tune with another, and that will create a very sweet atmosphere around you. This will be a week of good vibes and connection. For Aquarius, we have the Emperor. The Emperor is a strong male presence in your life, probably a fire sign, Aries, Leo or Sagittarius, who can be very protective, supportive. You can rely on this person, but at the same time he can be very stubborn, because the Emperor is not one who can easily consider another's opinion. He's very experienced for sure, but at times that can make him rigid too. The Emperor represents an actual person in your life who has these characteristics. It can be your partner or your boss, a friend, a relative or a colleague, and his presence is strongly felt. The Emperor represents structure, so he speaks about a situation that has been already formed, and it's a situation that's not changing easily, as he has the number 4 in Major Arcana, and 4 represents stability. So if stability is something that you want within a relationship or a situation, that's fine, but stability at times can turn into stagnation. So it's a very fine balance between something that's solid, but at the same time it allows you to develop it further, versus something that's not flexible. You may need to find the right balance for something to be solid, but at the same time it doesn't become stagnant and boring. Since last week you had the Empress, this seems to be the next stage in what you were experiencing last week, as the Emperor follows the Empress in Major Arcana. Under the Empress's energy, things were still forming, and there was much room for changes, adjustments. With the Emperor, not so much. What's being crystallized this week, what's being solidified, will remain so for a long time. So you may still have a few days to correct or to adjust some points that are not what you want them to be, but once the situation turns a final form, it will be more difficult to change it. If you feel that another is playing a game on their terms without considering your terms at all, you have a small opening for a few days, especially in the beginning of the week, to get your point across and negotiate a better deal, a better agreement between you and them. Finally, for Pisces, we have the King of Pentacles. That's the completion of a matter or a situation that has been developing in the previous week. It has to do primarily with practical matters, but that doesn't mean that it can be a relationship thing. It can be a practical matter within a relationship. For instance, it can be a plan that you're having and you need to work it out with your partner to see it through, but it can also be something professional or financial that comes to a successful outcome. The King of Pentacles is a person in your life, an earth sign, Virgo, Capricorn or Taurus, and your energy blends really well with their energy because you are a water sign and water blends very well with earth. So what's happening here is that you and this person can make a very solid and long-lasting plan, or you can be in a solid and long-lasting relationship. And this week is about taking advantage of this energy and making it work for you. and you are now dealing with something more serious, more mature, and if that's what you want, you have to somehow build a strong foundation. Probably that's something you already have with this person, and you are about to take the next step. You are about to close a chapter and make a new beginning with this connection. Last week, you had the Ace of Pentacles, which must have opened a door for you, or it gave you a first taste of what is to come in the following weeks. And the Ace of Pentacles is an Earth card too, so you are dealing with this same energy for a while now, and what was getting more grounded, more centered last week, now is getting even more solid. If you need to find inspiration or lessons, look at events that happened from early April to early May, and you will surely get some valuable insights. So these were the weekly tarot horoscopes. I hope you enjoyed them, and I will see you next week.